and said some insulting and regrettable things. I am so sorry for my actions and will learn from this mistake. Joining me now is host of MSNBC's All In, Chris Hayes, communications director for Emily's List, Jess McIntosh, and contributing editor for New York Magazine, Annie Lowrey. All right, Chris, so let's talk about Britt McHenry. This is polarized, polarized the internet. Where do you stand on the reaction and the punishment?
Okay, so let's say, just absolutely inexcusable, horrendous behavior that I think just as an independent judgment of her character, and I don't know her at all, and it's an edited videotape, we should be clear.
It is an edited videotape. We don't hear what the employee is saying.
Importantly, yes. Right? But reveals, I think, something deeply dark and messed up in her character. And I would hope that I would never act that way. I don't think I would. I don't think people that I love or care for or are friends with would ever say those kinds of things, although would say things I would later regret. Like, I could see myself losing it with someone, just not saying those things. All of that said, the reminder of the ceaseless panopticon of modern surveillance in every sort of iteration, whether it's a video, and she's warned of it, she looks up into it, like...
Yes, at the very beginning of
this. And then the punishment, too, like, look, people said to me, well, she invokes her job, and she's a public figure, and you represent the brand of ESPN, which I get. But I do worry about creating norms in which private behavior of being a jerk becomes, I'm serious, subject for labor punishment, and not for the Britt McHenrys or the Chris Hayeses or the Alex Wagners of the world, but for people that work in other environments in an age of social media. When you come in for your job as a claims adjuster and someone saw the Instagram of you at that party that weekend and you're fired. Well, and that I really worry about.
This in particular, though, rankles the people who watch it, all of us, because I think it seizes, I mean, there's like identity politics, there's fat shaming, presumably there's classism, there are a lot of like very...
it's like bingo.
She hits it all. She literally, it's like whack-a-mole.
Yes, it's disgusting in every particular.
You know, I guess maybe I think this is different than doing something stupid on social media.
I just don't think that it was a private moment of jerkery. Like, she was saying this to another human being.
Yeah.
And if you're having a conversation with a friend and somebody sitting at the table next to you is filming you, I think that would be the grossest violation of privacy, even if you were saying things that were as bad as Britt was caught on TV. She chose to say that to another human being. That's not private.
Yeah.
Annie, there are people that look at this. I think Megan Garber in The Atlantic is one who sort of sees this as a positive development in a way, the Panopticon. She writes, technology at large has afforded a reciprocity between people who, in a previous era, would have occupied different places on the spectrum of power. In this way, the unseen towing company employee is basically taking Britt McHenry to task for what she said, although she's not doing that herself, but by virtue of this videotape, she gets some kind of justice, or he.
Yeah, I mean, that's not quite the lesson that I take from it. In this case, I agree. Britt McHenry was doing something really rude. It's kind of especially chilling that she delivers it not in this, like, hot-heated, she's losing her temper manner, but she sounds like Regina George. She's, like, basically shaming this. And from Mean Girls, that's all very weird. But I think that we've now entered this period where there's this real backlash to the backlash. There's a book that's become very popular about whether we've gone too far in the public shaming of people for things that are just, you know, they're accidents, they're transgressions, but they're pretty human. And I think that this definitely caused me to think about, what if my worst moments with customer service representatives were captured on tape? It's kind of chilling to think about that. So that's sort of the lesson that I took away from it. And to be honest, you know, I agree. I think that Britt McHenry's, her behavior was reprehensible, but I don't think it's the sort of thing that she should have lost her job for. I'm not even
she's been suspended for one. She's been suspended for 1 week. She has not lost her job.
Yeah, she was suspended for 1 week, but there were people who were like, you know, she should lose her job for this. And I think that maybe the punishment in this case fits the crime, but I do kind of feel bad for her as well, as the woman who got, you know, really yelled at here.
Okay, from one controversial woman to another controversial woman. I didn't say anything about the hair color, which they also both have in common. Gwyneth Paltrow admits to failing her $29 a week food stamp challenge after just 4 days. Writing on her blog, my perspective has been forever altered by how difficult it was to eat wholesome, nutritious food on that budget, even just for a few days. This has actually, like, set the internet aflame, Jess.
It's the limes.
People are angry. It's
you've got 7 limes. Like,
now, is it a good thing that she did this, that we're even talking about it?
I get the micro criticism of Gwyneth Paltrow being, like, the most absurdly wrong messenger for this ever, and that she went about it in the strangest, funniest way possible. I get the macro, poverty tourism is really problematic, and we step into that realm way too often when we try to raise awareness about a thing. So I get both of those things. That said, I have been in a setting like this discussing SNAP now this week, and that has never happened in my career. And I think it is awesome.
That's a very good point.
In a moment when we are doing terrible things to poor people in terms of policing them, in terms of what kind of food they can buy, whether they can take their kids to the movies. I mean, we are being mean bullies when it comes to poor people and SNAP benefits. And I am really happy that I have a second to say that.
Yeah, Chris, there are people that have taken to the internet and written essays and so forth that say, you know, one of the biggest offenses here is that she didn't approach the SNAP challenge in the way that low-income people actually do, which is not by running out to Safeway and sort of grabbing what you can get. You actually have to have a strategy. You have to find the cheapest grocery store. You have to think about sort of the most calorically calorically high nutritious foods you can get for the lowest dollar. And she kind of just went out and did this sort of, you know, Gwyneth Paltrowian shop.
Yeah, I mean,
if such a thing exists.
Look, the entire enterprise is a ridiculous stunt. I mean, so I don't think we should, like, I guess I would say, like, don't overthink it. It's a ridiculous stunt. It's a ridiculous stunt that's done. Was the brainchild, I think, of the Food Bank New York City people.
Yeah.
Who, let me just say, like, that is an amazing institution. Those people are incredible. They're into the trenches every day, not only making sure that people get fed, but fighting battles on Capitol Hill in which they are the voice of righteousness to not cut people's food stamps purely out of, like, some punitive disgust for poor people or some belief they're undeserving. So, like, I guess my feeling is a little bit like Jess's, which is at the end, like, if all this cashes out to people talking about food stamp cuts and also talking about the Food Bank New York people, then that's all the good. Like, and how
that is, go ahead, Annie.
Yeah, so I think two things. I'm totally with Jess and Chris that I think she was really on the side of the angels here. It's really, really difficult to live on the kind of constrained budgets that poor folks live on. And I think that there's all sorts of technical problems with the food stamp challenge, which is that even most people on food stamps, that's not all of the money that they spend on food.
Right.
And of course, like, they're very burdened in other ways. They need to pay for gas, electricity, getting to work, all that. But putting all of that aside, I think that there's something kind of horrible about the fact that so many celebrities and public figures have done these food stamp challenges, and it's just Gwyneth who's getting all of this hate.
Yeah, and
go back to the line.
Well, when she announced that she was consciously uncoupling from the food stamp challenge, I think that was also inviting a little
polarizing about women.
I think it's a good thing that she did it. And yeah, I agree that maybe the way she went around it was ridiculous, but I think at the end she probably empathized with people who are making these decisions on a day-to-day basis.
And then she ate half a bag of black licorice, as we find out from her blog. Okay, I want to get to the story, and I want your thoughts on this, Chris. More grief for Sony Pictures as WikiLeaks republishes all of its hacked emails online in an easy-to-use searchable database. According to editor-in-chief Julian Assange, this archive shows the inner workings of an influential multinational corporation. It is newsworthy and at the center of geopolitical conflict. It belongs in the public domain. Agree or disagree?
I really genuinely feel torn about this one, and I felt torn about the Sony hack from the beginning. I mean, as a reporter, right, my feeling is I don't judge where information comes from as long as I can verify it, right? So, like, a source can leak something to me for completely nefarious reasons, but if the data and the information is newsworthy and I can verify it's true, that's not my problem, right?
And I think a lot of people would agree with that, but do you think, independent of you being a reporter, as a citizen...
Right, so that's the broader question, which is like, this was a crime that was committed for certain ends to embarrass Sony, and there is something deeply icky feeling about it essentially being used in the same way as, say, the Snowden documents, which was also, arguably some people say criminal, but was at least a affirmative decision by a whistleblower to bring to light an issue of public policy. This was a sheer criminal act to intimidate and basically extract something from a company, it appears.
And a private American business is not exactly the same as the federal government.
That's exactly right.
I mean, do we hold them to the same standard, Jess?
Well, going back to the private moments of jerkery, like, I think an email between coworkers is something that you don't expect, especially if you work in the entertainment industry and you're not being, you're not subject to FOIA and all sorts of archiving processes like the federal government is. Like, you expect that that's going to stay private.
It has, I think, forever changed the way anybody in any corporation, including this building, including myself, emails.
As long as they don't come for our GChat transcripts.
Oh, God.
We're all
okay.
fired.
Goodness help all of us if they come for our chats and our emails.
Everyone's screwed.
Private
It's all done.
We're all getting
Everything is
fired,
recorded.
every last person.
Moments of jerkery. Chris Hayes, Jess McIntosh, Annie Lowry. A powerful way to end the week. Thank you for this public moment of jerkery. And be sure to catch Chris tonight on All In at 8 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC.